Hi, even though more and more mixes are being made in Atmos every day, there still isn't a lot of content that shows how engineers actually mix in this format. So, I wanted to do another video giving out some practical tips and ideas. Let's start by listening to a stereo downmix of the track we will be working with.
Sweet darling, I'll follow the shore and the key. Oh, I will find you.
Now, let's look at the panning. This track contains overheads and a hi-hat. It is panned very close to the side speakers and elevated. I sort of wanted to put the listener behind the drum kit. The snare is in front of the listener and elevated, while the kick is placed lower and slightly behind the snare. The room mic is placed at the ceiling and close to the back wall. The drum's slapback effect is also behind the listener but not as high. To give you a better idea of how this panning works, I will switch from stereo downmix in the renderer, but you will still hear a stereo version. I will use VST multipanner to rotate the whole mix. It's a do-it-yourself head tracking. Let's listen to the kick, snare, room mic and a slapback track. There is also a plugin called Virtuoso that has manual control for head rotation. If you work on headphones, emulating head tracking can be very helpful in judging panning in Atmos. Now, let's look at the bass and how it works against the drums. It is placed slightly behind the kick. I wanted to glue with the drums, but still kind of be in the background. Let's listen to it. I'm going to move the bass. Try to notice how separated or glued it sounds with the drums. By deciding where to place the bass relative to the drums, I control how much glue or separation I have. Now let's look at the synth. The first synth track is just a pad that fills in the space. I panned it to the ceiling and didn't do anything else, as it's really low in volume and is just a background type of instrument. The second synth has a bit of movement. It's panned to the ceiling and flows from the back wall to the front wall. Let's listen. Have you noticed how when the second synth disappeared while moving, we could hear the first one filling in the space? Very simple moves, but still sounds nice and immersive. But you don't always need to do movements like this. I have this lead synth that in the chorus plays in the back, and after the chorus it jumps to the front. In the chorus it balances out the guitar, and after the chorus it plays a lead line. I'm changing positions, but the positions themselves are fixed. There is also a cool thing that happens in the pre-chorus that I want to demonstrate. Pay attention to how the guitar moves at the ceiling and what happens when the chorus starts. Instead of making the chorus bigger or wider as we usually do in stereo, I used this contrasting jump to accentuate the start of the new section in the song. This is a slightly different way of thinking because in stereo we use certain techniques to achieve impact, but in Atmos we can use different approaches. And finally, let's look at the vocals. The lead vocal is placed in front of the drum kit and slightly raised, while background vocals are placed behind the drum kit and also raised.
Sweet darling, I'll follow the shore and the keel. Oh, I will find you.
Nothing special or crazy, I just imagined where real performers could stand and place the sounds roughly in those areas. Finally, I want to show you something that I think is the best part. You may have noticed that near the Atmos renderer channel I have a 2-bus channel. What Cubase and Nuendo allow me to do is route and downmix Atmos to stereo internally. So when I'm finished with Atmos mix, I can route the Atmos renderer output to a stereo track, add a bunch of plugins and even in theory do stereo mastering all in one session. I don't need to make 2 different mixes. I always do both Atmos and stereo at the same time. Or I can start with the stereo mix, then just do panning for the Atmos version in the same project. I don't need to print stems and mix them in a different session, so it's really helpful in optimizing my workflow. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.